What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to give you guys my review on Little Nightmares 3. I first want to start off by just saying thank you to Bandai Namco Supermassive for giving me a review code. I got in a little bit late. I had some busy nights the last couple nights, but I played this through last night entirely. One time I started the game, I didn't turn it off. I just beat it in one go, and that'll, I think, certainly play a part to this. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a range. It took me about 3 hours, and normally I would say, like, I'm not very good with puzzles, right? I say that kind of quite often in videos. These puzzles were either the easiest Little Nightmares puzzles that you've ever gotten, or there were some times, like, where you actually had to go. I just could not figure it out at a couple different locations, and I actually watched walkthroughs of other people not being able to figure it out, and then they were able to. So it's kind of a mix, and I guess why I'm saying that, well, maybe that's game design, but I'm also saying that to say 3 hours, I feel like I went at a pretty okay pace. I don't really see how you get out of this thing for more than 4 hours. And, this is I believe, $40 game. So that's something that, you'll have to debate amongst yourselves, right? Is $40 worth 3 hours, or is it worth 4 hours? Is it worth multiple replays? I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's totally up to you to decide, that money versus time. Okay, how about the game itself? I think it's pretty okay. Sadly, I will say, I echo what a lot of people said about this game in the reviews. This is a very safe Little Nightmares game. It is a functionally solid. There's really nothing all that negative to say. There's a couple weaknesses, I would say, for me. So I played this entire thing through by myself. Now, of course, there's two of you, right? And the AI, it's a very interesting AI in this game. There was one moment where I was pulling open, I think, a file cabinet, okay? And the other character had to be the one to do it. Now, that character would not open that file cabinet until I did, and then it's like, well, you can't be the one to open it and jump on it. I opened it, closed it, and then the AI came over and opened it. Weird story, maybe, but that hopefully kind of shows you just the way the AI acts. They will not go out of their way to help you in any way. They will not lead you. The only time they lead you is in a chase. When they start running, you think, oh, okay, I'm supposed to run now. That's the only time they kind of give you a hint as to what to do in a situation. Beyond that, they're just slower. The AI is just a slower version of you. And like I said, with that file cabinet, it was just odd because when you play by yourself, there's oftentimes situations where the AI needs to do something, and you can be the other person, or you have to be the other person. See, when you're playing it co-op, it can interchange, and I think that would probably be far better. Of course, now is a good time to again mention something we've mentioned leading into this. This is only online co-op. You cannot play this split screen. You can't play this couch co-op. I think that will continue to go down as just the worst mistake they ever thought of for this game, because I really think that was such a missed opportunity. I would have played with my wife. She wanted to play, but it's not couch co-op, or we can't do it. So I really think that was a problem. And I would say, okay, just in terms of like a little bit of advice, if you get this game, please plan on playing it with somebody else. And I will say, I do think that would enhance it, because I think, again, the AI kind of slows it down a little bit. It kind of makes it very, just by the books. You almost feel at times like you're on rails. And I feel like if you had two humans, it wouldn't feel like that as much. But speaking on the on rails thing, maybe another weakness of this game, the amount of hatches that you open or doors that you push, it does feel like it's on rails too much of the time. I think there are 4 very strong locations. There's 4 very strong themes going on. In general, I enjoyed it. It was by the books. You have a situation, you try to find a key, you backtrack, you open a door. And it's not like Little Nightmares was the most inventive thing ever created. Really, this game sticks to a pretty established strategy. And I would say, the Carnival is one of the times that they try to flex their own ideas, maybe the most they've done in the entire game. I think the story and the theme is something that really hasn't been done, and I haven't seen too many, like, I feel like the overall opinion on the story was like, like, again, maybe playing it too safe. I will say I actually kind of liked it. That was the one element that I would say above average, something that they actually tried to put in their own, Supermassive, I guess in this case, they put in their own, kind of different thing to it, and I actually thought it was kind of refreshing. It kind of all comes to a head at the end of the game. It starts to give you signs, maybe like 30, 40, 50 minutes in. Up until that point, you're kind of flying blind a little bit, but I would say the through line of the game is actually pretty good. It's very different than any of the other Little Nightmares stories, and it's also tragic. Really, I'll just say this without spoiling. Think about these Little Nightmares games. Do they ever end in a super positive note, right? No, most of the time, actually all of the time, they are not positive endings. And I do think, again, like sticking to that, maybe you could say, maybe I wish they would have broken tradition in that way. That's the one thing that they stayed along with, with the story and theme element, but they did try their own thing. I mean, that's kind of what you can say about this game. Like, they try here and there to do something a little bit different. It's a functionally solid game. Like, the chase scenes are still a lot of fun. It's a beautiful game. There was a little stuttering that I found, but overall, it ran really well. It looked really good. I saw a comment say this on the walkthrough I was watching when I was stuck. It doesn't, and I do agree with it. How tense it is, and like kind of this uncomfortable feeling that I do think the other games did so well. I do think that's lacking in this game. There were really no times, maybe one, that I felt, this is kind of a little eerie or a little scary, or even scary. Scary, a little off, a little uncomfortable. And maybe I will say this. I don't really want to put that all on Supermassive, because I feel when you play and like when you make these games, and now it's a trilogy, right? Maybe eventually the formula just does get old. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying maybe. Like, maybe that's just a thing you would run into. We'll see with Reanimal. Honestly, I think that's a really good kind of side thing where it's like, have we almost gotten too used to these games where, the ideas are just going to continue to feel like samey, right? But I really feel Little Nightmares 2 pushed it, like really tried to elevate things. And you're not going to get it confused. It's part of a series, like 1 to 2, but it really elevated, I think, a lot of elements in these games. 3 doesn't. 3, like I said, the puzzle solving is far easier. Now, I actually kind of like that because, again, I kind of suck at it, but it was just more by the books. Like, you are going left to right so often, and you will push about 60 doors. You will open 60 hatches. You will have your 4 chase scenes. You will fight a boss. That's pretty much it. Like, it's just, you can really see gameplay wise and minute to minute stuff. Exactly how this game is going to operate. And you could argue, and I will say this just as a benefit of the doubt thing, this is not the team. I mean, like, Supermassive helped on 2, right? But they didn't create the franchise, and there was a lot of skepticism with this entire situation. I will say, this might actually be the better idea, though. I don't want to say, well, it's too safe. I mean, it is too safe, but is that necessarily a bad thing? If they tried to go wild with it, and they ruined it, right? You're not going to say this ruined Little Nightmares. You're going to say this played it kind of safe, and it's just another Little Nightmares game. If they made it something that it's not, that might actually upset people more. So I think they were in a tough spot. Like, I'm not doing it to kiss their feet or anything, but I think they were in a tough situation. But you have to ask yourself, do you want them to kind of go so far that they change what it is, or that they play it too safe? I mean, look, there is a nice middle ground that I will say they failed to hit. Like, if you wanted them to, you could say, well, Alex, I didn't want either. I didn't want them to play it too samey, but I also didn't want them to make a different franchise out of it. I wanted them to do somewhere in the middle. I understand that. I think that's a valid, criticism, and I think that is the criticism of the game. Above all else, the game is a functionally sound game. I did have fun. I do like games, by the way, that are, like, digestible like this. Like, yeah, like, look, they gave it to me for free. I'm not hiding that. Obviously, I already said that in the beginning. $40 for 3 hours. That is a tough pill to swallow, I think, for any human soul on the planet, okay? So I do get that. I like games that are short, but then you have to make the decision if a short, digestible game that I do like is worth $40, right? That's up to the person. But I think it's a solid game, and I think, I saw so many people say, when they're kind of recapping these games that have been going on the last couple of weeks, they'll always throw Little Nightmares in and say, it's fine. It's something maybe you should play if you like the franchise and just play it down the line. And that's probably where I stand. I think you probably should play this if you play Little Nightmares 1 and 2. I think it's got that solid story, solid themes. I liked that. Again, great visuals, great sound. I like the enemies, or the creatures, whatever you want to call them, humans even at times. They look in line with the franchise. There's nothing messed up in that way. So I think they did a really good job actually in a lot of different things. It was just very, very by the books. You knew what you were doing 10 minutes in, and it never changed the formula after 10 minutes in. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.